All right. The opening line report is here for week 13 of the NFL season. I am TommyFreezePops. Just got my man Stu here with me tonight. It is a two-man booth for the opening line report. And looks like we're going to go final here in Los Angeles. The Ravens taking care of business with the Chargers, 20-10 the final. And Zay Flowers, rookie mistake not going down at the one there, but how can you not just punch it in, right? I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say all the Ravens -3 bettors out there I know are very, very happy. And hey, earlier this year, if you were one of those guys that lost Chiefs Patrick Mahomes when he slid on the one, and then you won this bet on the Ravens here, you need to go back and delete all your old tweets because that's how karma works, guys. That's how betting works, okay? Every bad beat is the worst thing that's ever happened to you until it happens to someone else. So shout out to Zay Flowers. I know the Ravens bettors out there are very happy. He cashed a lot of tickets right there at the end of that game.
The betting gods giveth, the betting gods taketh. That is the sick game that we play each week here in NFL betting. All right, let's look ahead to next week's lines here. Your first look. These are up to date. I just checked them, I promise. We got the Niners in Philly. What a game. What an incredible matchup. What a great run the Eagles have had here of awesome games here. You can get the Niners as a 1.5-point dog in Philly. NFC Championship rematch. The Eagles on the money line at -125, the Niners at +105, and a total of 45.5. I have no idea what to do with this game. I think this is one I'm just going to watch and have a good time with. Maybe later in the week, if I'm feeling frisky, I'll take Niners double result because why not? If you think they're going to cover the 1.5, go ahead and grab that double result for plus money. But man, I am just pumped for this game, especially with the Niners being healthy right now. When they are healthy, they are seemingly unbeatable. And this Eagles team is playing amazing football right now. The middle of the game seemed dicey, but they get it done at the end here. So, Stu, what do we do with this amazing NFC matchup here for week 13?
Yeah, it's a tough rest spot just off the bat for the Eagles. Not only do they have the literal rest advantage, but I mean also just when you look at strength of schedule and what these teams have gone through recently. I mean, everyone's talking about it on the internet. Philadelphia has the ultimate gauntlet, right? These tough divisional games, Super Bowl rematches. We got the Bills. Next up, we got the Niners. Then you go back to the Cowboys. I mean, this is just an insane run, right? Of teams that they have to be facing right here, thanks to their Super Bowl appearance last year. And we look at the other side, the San Francisco 49ers, they had their bye week. They let Christian McCaffrey get healthy. They come back. They have a strong performance in prime time. Now they get the extended rest. They get a little bit of extra rest after that impressive performance while we just saw Philly fight tooth and nail into overtime. It's one of those things that the fatigue factor has got to be against Philly right now. I mean, what they're doing is undeniably impressive. I mean, it's the most impressive thing we've seen in the NFL so far this year. I mean, they are running through these teams. They're trailing in every game, and then they're coming back. The thing, I just don't know if this is where it continues right here, especially getting Shanahan at plus money. This is a guy that you trust to be able to game plan at the highest level in the league. Like you mentioned, CMC is back in full strength. Trent Williams, the splits with and without Trent Williams are absolutely insane. One of the most impactful players in the whole NFL. So the offensive line, the weapons being healthy, all that combined does make the 49ers the more appealing side for me.
So I wonder if throughout the week, guys like you and I are going to hit the Niners here, and that line is going to move to a pick 'em at some point. Because I know the Eagles are at home, but when the Niners are healthy, man, there's really not a lot you can do, right? I mean, on both sides of the ball, they are absolutely stacked. So I think that if you like the Niners, you got to get on this now because I could see this being a pick 'em at some point later in the week. So you mentioned the Cowboys, and they dominated on Thanksgiving. The Niners did their thing against the team that the Cowboys are playing in week 13. Seattle, 7-point dogs heading to Dallas. You can get the Cowboys on the money line at -285, Seattle at +230, and the total of 45.5. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stu. I believe this is Thursday night football. So weird things tend to happen on Thursday nights. But Dallas is rolling, man. I mean, everyone liked to throw around the stat ahead of Thanksgiving that Dak never covers on Thanksgiving and yada, yada, yada. They took it to your boys. They made the Commanders look like absolute children out there. So I don't know if I can bet against Dallas at this point. I kind of like them to cover the 7. Both teams coming off equal amounts of rest here. What do you think of this matchup for Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, no, if you watched the show earlier in the year, you probably would have heard a vastly different opinion where I would have went on a little tangent about how you can never trust Dallas at margin. It's just a simple coaching fact, right? But there's been a very interesting shift that this team made about 4 or 5 weeks ago where they shifted their just neutral position rushing rate from their passing rate from 52% to 67. So we saw a 15% bump in their passing over these last couple weeks, and that's been all the difference. Dak Prescott has looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, has vaulted himself into the MVP conversation. CeeDee Lamb having another extraordinary season, and hey, it's taken some of the pressure off of Tony Pollard, who was extremely inefficient in this 20 touch per game situation. So earlier in the year, whenever the Cowboys got ahead, they would inefficiently run the ball and give it back to the other team. And for that reason, I never really wanted to trust them as a heavy favorite unless they were against an absolutely terrible team. And Seattle is not an absolutely terrible team. They can put up a fight, but the big difference maker is Dallas is now playing to their strength. They're throwing the ball whether they're ahead or they're behind. They're relying on that great offensive line. They're scheming very well, and Dak Prescott is doing a very fine job right now of just distributing to all of his targets. So for that reason, I haven't been in on Seattle recently whatsoever. I do like their defense, but they have some holes. The linebackers, the safeties are being targeted in coverage a lot, and it's making, even though they have phenomenal young cornerbacks, you can still pass on them, and that's a problem, right? Especially when they're not getting enough pressure to overcompensate for that on the other side. So for me, if Dallas is going to keep doing their thing, if they're going to keep like playing this smart, then I'm going to keep backing them even at margin like 7 points right here.
Yeah, and let's remember, Geno Smith is not good anymore. He kind of turned into a pumpkin, and Dallas is about as opportunistic a defense as we've seen over the last couple of years, especially this year. They have a cornerback that has scored more touchdowns than anyone on the Patriots offense this entire season. And we'll talk with the Patriots later. But I mean, it's crazy what they've been able to do in the middle part of the season. And really outside of that blip against Arizona, and then they got shellacked against San Francisco, they've looked really, really good. I think if you have a Dallas futures ticket right now, you're feeling good about yourself because you probably got them at pretty good odds. And I don't know. I think that Dallas really makes a statement here on Thursday night. I really feel confidently. I think Seattle's trending in the wrong direction. Like I mentioned, Geno Smith kind of stinks. So let's take a look at the Chiefs here. Heading to Lambeau Field, Patrick Mahomes' first game ever at Lambeau, if you care about that type of thing. They are a touchdown favorite to take on the Packers here. You can get Casey on the money line at minus 298 and the Packers at plus 240 with a total of 41.5. Chiefs touchdown favorite. I mean, they did what they did against the Raiders today. There were points in the game where it was still like, oh, what's wrong with this offense? But they just figured it out in the end, and they got the dub. Packers, I need to go on a little bit of a Lions rant here again. I am an idiot. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I bet on the Lions on Thanksgiving, okay? I did it. I'm sorry. I did it. I put them in a parlay. I looked at the Thanksgiving lineup. I said, I'm just going to parlay all the favorites here. It seems like all three of these teams are a modicum better than their opponents. And in two of the three instances, I was correct. They were much better than a modicum better. The Lions should have beat the Packers. They were at home. They're 8-2. They just came off that awesome comeback win against the Bears, who they should have blown out, by the way. So this goes into the fraud thing. Jared Goff forgot how to play football again. The Lions, I hate them. I hate them so much. I know people love them because they're fun and Dan Campbell, yada, yada. Don't let me bet on them anymore, okay? Please. All of that to say, just because the Packers did what they did against the Lions on Thanksgiving doesn't mean I'm giving them a shot to beat Kansas City. I just trust the Chiefs to go into Lambeau and beat a team that they are better than. They'll be tight with these teams, right? But they don't lose to these teams unless it's the Lions on opening night. So that's how I feel. Will they cover the touchdown? I think so. But the Chiefs, they like to keep it interesting, right? It to the detriment of Chiefs ATS bettors. So there's my Lions rant. I needed to just get that in there because we were talking about the Packers here. Stu, you tell me what you think about this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is obviously an interesting one. Green Bay, like you said, coming off a great spot. Pretty much the whole world watching them have by far their best performance of the season. So inherently, that's going to have some market value there. And then you juxtapose that to Kansas City, who just went down 14-0 in the first half to the freaking Raiders, right? And then that tells both of us, I think we're on the same page right here. I think a lot of people are going to be on Green Bay for that reason. And I don't know if I'm going to be with him right there. I mean, Spags is a great defensive coordinator, one of the best in the league. You really don't want to be playing young quarterbacks against him too often. The interesting thing to me was I've watched a lot of Packers football this season, and that last game truly was unlike any other. I mean, from the bat, the first 15 plays of the game, the scripted plays were phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can't say the word anymore. Oh my God, I got the yips out here. Anyway. It's been great so far. And to me, I hadn't seen that all year from the Packers. Like, not once. I hadn't seen even above average play calling. And that was a master, right? A master class. So for me, going back now to a Kansas City team, can they sustain that excellent coaching? Is it going to be more than a 1 week thing? I'm not sure, because at the end of the day, despite everything, they still ran AJ Dillon like 18 times for 41 yards. And I had his under, and they were up. And he still cashed under 46 rushing yards. That's how inefficient AJ Dillon is. So if we could just stop giving him the ball, that would be nice. That's my one problem with the Packers offense, right? Is like everything else was perfect. And then you also gave the ball to AJ Dillon 18 times to run into a brick wall. So Aaron Jones, please come back. Like, nobody wants to see more AJ Dillon. Quadzilla was fun in 2019. The guy hasn't had a 10-yard rush since. So next time you get one of those, call me. But for now, I'm on the Kansas City side.
First of all, how dare you? I'm a BC fan. I love AJ Dillon. I wish him nothing but the best. Okay. But I do agree with you. It doesn't feel like he has the burst to be that dude, and he needs to kind of be in that short yardage role. He can't really be an RB1. It's just a fact. So before we move to the next game, I want to pick your brain on this. You said the Packers offense looked as good as it has the entire season. And that's true. And Matt LaFleur showed like, hey, see, I can still do this. Mm-hmm. Is Jordan Love actually good? Are we trending in the right direction here? Is he going to be the guy under center here for the next few years for the Packers? Or is it just not going to work? And what we've seen for most of this season, is that who they actually are? Because I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. I don't think they should part ways with him. But Jordan Love is the guy that I just can't decide if I'm going to, let him be the quarterback for the Packers here, or am I going to call for him to get benched and they should draft one of these guys? There's a million quarterbacks in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally in the league that you want to shoot for that superstar. You want to shoot for that high draft capital. Look what CJ Stroud just did to Texas. So immediately, and even Anthony Richardson, in only a couple games, you could instantly see what he was doing to that franchise. So for me, if I'm in the franchise, I'm never going to endorse trying to sit somewhere in the middle. And to me, Jordan Love, it was his best game, don't get me wrong, but there hasn't been enough consistently there. And the biggest red flag for a young quarterback for me is having a problem that you haven't improved on ever at any level of your career, right? When you look to your freshman year of college, what's actually changed since then? And to be honest, he still can't process beyond his first read very well. The middle and intermediate part of the field is still a struggle for him. He has a very nice deep ball, but that can be a real illusion for NFL quarterbacks, right? Zach Wilson also had a really nice deep ball. It's what you can do in between that. And for me, as a processor, he is still extremely slow reading defenses. I don't really see him as like the guy that gets up to the line of scrimmage and communicates and can coordinate an offense. Like he's a young guy at heart, but he's also now like 25 years old. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of running out of time. So he's shown enough that I really couldn't be super mad at the Packers for sticking with it. It's a cheaper option, obviously, as well, but they're just kind of stuck in the middle right now. And I don't know if they're at a good place to get a quarterback. That's what I would try to do in the offseason. If not, I can see staying put where you are. They have a super young team right now.
Yeah, they're in no man's land. Our guy Hayden weighing in, he says, show some respect for Jordan Love. All right, fine. We'll show a little bit of respect for Jordan Love. He's okay. All right, let's take a look at one of the more interesting matchups in the AFC. The Bengals, 7.5-point dogs with their backup quarterback heading to Jacksonville with the Jaguars as a minus 278 favorite on the money line. The Bengals at plus 225 and a total of 41. Jags got the dub today. Obviously, they have a really good record, but they've had kind of a weird season if you have been betting on the Jaguars. And look, the Bengals did not get it done today, but I don't think that they looked totally inept with Browning at quarterback. I think that they could stick in games. Obviously, they weren't playing the 85 Bears here with the Steelers today. Steelers got the dub. They have one of the weirdest teams ever with that record and what the talent is. I mean, if you've watched the Steelers and you see that record, you understand exactly what I'm saying. So this is kind of a weird one for me. I could see the Bengals sticking around, although Jacksonville kind of has a weird home field advantage. But then again, they don't because they had that massive loss to the Niners earlier this year. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird team. The Jaguars should be a lot better, and I should feel more confident about them at this point in the season than I do. And it's because of everything we've seen so far this year. So, Stu, what do I do with the 7.5 here? Is this a stay away? Is this line going to grow throughout the week? Are people going to start hammering the Jags? Is it going to move to 8, 8.5? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on how the market feels about Browning in general. I think I've already discovered I'm a little bit higher on him than everyone else is. And I mean, I was impressed, within reason with what I saw this week. Like you said, it wasn't a complete train wreck. For me, I like Cincinnati plus 7.5. I'm gonna definitely be monitoring where this market goes, but I can pretty comfortably say I'll have some bets on Cincinnati this week. I've been lower than market on Jacksonville all season long. It was a good win today, but it was a natural regression spot for a Texans team that had been lighting the world on fire, with a quarterback that also like was leading the league in interception-worthy plays at the same time. Like despite the greatness, there were some signs of regression that was due right there. Jacksonville got the job done in a divisional matchup. No surprise to me. Cincinnati sticking in, playing a good game today. That's really all that matters. That could have been an insane range of outcomes, right? It could have been a 40-0 loss. Who knows what could have happened? So the fact that they were competitive throughout, no matter what, and the quarterback play was solid to me, I'm good enough with that. I mean, Browning, when I first saw him, I get Heineke vibes from him in the sense that I think he can come in and like keep the ship afloat. Like his first quote was, "Everybody calls me sneaky athletic. I don't see where the sneaky comes from." Like that's a hilarious thing to say as a backup quarterback that no one's ever heard of, that has like 40 career NFL rushing yards, claiming you're like a pure athlete out here. Like the guy is oozing confidence. He truly believes that this is his spot right here to excel in the NFL. And I have respect for that. So it's been impressive so far. I think he can be a game manager. I think he can keep them within the 7.5 points to cover the spread right here.
Yeah, because there's enough talent around him in Cincinnati, too, where, like you said, if he has that Taylor Heineke sort of swagger about him, just go let your guys make plays for you. And then you have to make the occasional, game changer type play. Like Taylor Heineke, it's a great comparison. That's why I'm sticking with it. There was a few times when he had his run with Washington, right? There was a few plays a game where he did something and it was like, whoa, Taylor Heineke just did that. Like he just thought he could do it and he just did it, right?
Yep.
And that's what got them into the playoffs and had them kind of neck and neck with the Bucs in that playoff game. A lot of people forget that the Washington football team was sticking with Tom Brady in that playoff game for a little bit. So if Browning can be like Heineke and they have that talent still around him, I think it's a really, really good call by you.
Yeah, no,
Really
I'm
do.
excited. I'm excited. The only thing I'm worried about is, to me, he looked. I hate to say this in front of you. He looked exactly like Mac Jones to me, like the exact same kind of skill set. I'm
Okay, so
curious.
now we're gonna go the other way and take Jags -7.5. Maybe
And
try and get an alt line up to 14.
Mac Jones from last season. How about that? How
Okay,
about Mac Jones from last
let's
season?
do Mac Jones from 2 seasons ago. Is that better?
That almost
Can we
might
do
be too
that?
nice. That might be a little. He was pretty good back then. I mean, people, rookie of the year.
He
So
had a good like 6-7 game stretch. All right, we're done with Mac Jones conversation. I'm gonna hit on that at the end. Let's go to an interesting one, a game that at the beginning of the year we probably wouldn't have said we'd be talking about on the marquee for week 13, but here we are. Broncos 3-point dogs heading to Houston. You can get the Texans on the money line at -155, the Broncos at +130, and a total of 44.5. Broncos offense looked great against Cleveland's vaunted defense today. And they had the running game going, and Russell Wilson looked good. I mean, Denver, okay, here we are. Sean Payton's got this thing moving in the right direction. And obviously, Houston is the surprise that they've been. We've talked about them a lot on this show. We talked about them last game here when we talked about the Jags. So no need to spend a ton of time on them. We know who they are with CJ Stroud and the excitement that is around that team. Tank Dell, love that guy. So I kind of like the Broncos heading to Houston here as a 3-point dog. I cannot believe I am saying this. Broncos country, let's ride. I'm going to bet on the Broncos, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this line is going to move throughout the week because I think a lot of sharp bettors are going to be on Denver.
Yeah, okay, you're taking my shtick. I was getting ready to say the same exact thing. I almost wish Houston won, because this would have been the Sharps versus Squares game of the year right here. One of those where you keep going, why is it 2 now? Why is it 1.5 now? When every single person on my timeline is betting the Texans. But the Texans hype did die down a little bit with this loss. So like you said, I'm very worried about if this line stays at 3. I'm going to be getting Denver as soon as I can right here. I like Denver a lot. When we look at this defense, it's so funny. This is a defense that gave up 70 points. That's going to be in the freaking playoffs this year. I mean, that is crazy to think about with the trajectory Denver is on right now. You mentioned that their offense is trending in the right direction. And what is their defense bad at? Their defense, fundamentally right now, they're getting healthier. They're getting better every single week. They're still bad at stopping the run. Houston is the worst rushing team in football. It's not particularly close. Dameon Pierce has been extremely inefficient. The offensive line has been awful from a run blocking perspective. With all the injuries, it's kind of hard to blame them. Obviously, a lot of new guys coming back and getting worked in, but it's been an awful rushing attack. And that's really the only way, in my opinion, you can confidently beat this Denver team right now, because the secondary's back. They got their safety back as well. They're playing healthy. They're strong. Surtain is spectacular there as well. I like Houston, but this is going to be a real grimy, punch you in the mouth kind of game. Houston's been excelling scoring points, right? But you can score points against the Colts, right? I don't really care about the Colts. The Browns scored 35 points against them as well with like PJ, Walker at quarterback. So it's one of those things where I trust Denver to score enough to get the job done right here. But when we get in a grimy, ugly game, I don't know how Houston is going to survive. I don't know if they've necessarily played a defense like the Broncos has been these last couple of weeks. So I like that 3. I don't know if it's going to be around for long. Definitely going to be getting it as soon as we get off the show.
I'm going to be fascinated to see what CJ Stroud interception props look like for this one, because he loves just throwing it in there, man. And it's actually kind of amazing that he had the streak that he had to start this season without throwing a pick, because he's just been going for it. And maybe it's that confidence. I mean, he's got the actual talent to back up that Taylor Heineke swagger, right? But yeah, man, I am going to bet on the Broncos. Call me crazy, but we're going to do that. Speaking of props, let's take a look early prop leans for you here for week 13. Obviously, we can't bet on these things yet, but what are some things people should be targeting as we look ahead to the week 13 slate as these things become available later in the week?
Yeah, no, obviously that's a great question. I'm going to start out going against you right here with the team we just saw. Keenan Allen, 12 receptions in with still 5 minutes left in that game to go. I don't know what he ended up finishing with right there, but man, this is a guy. Look at this team right now. Who is his competition? He has a truly dominant target share, and there's no one that you could even make an argument that's going to encroach on that. I mean, seriously, look at this team. Is it going to be Quentin Johnston? I mean, is it going to be Jalen Guyton? Is it going to be Gerald Everett? Austin Eckler? Is he going to get 10 catches suddenly instead of, I mean, even a maximum Austin Eckler, huge, amazing 8-catch game? That's still 30 other Herbert throws. And when you really think about it, when you really try to do the math, it's going to be very hard for you to put together a world where Keenan Allen is not targeted in this game 11 times. Keenan Allen is one of the best wide receivers in the game against man coverage, exceptional route runner. And as you know, your Patriots have been beat down at the cornerback position all year long, one of their least deep positions right now. So it's one of those things where if you want to play those two deep, cover zones to try to, blanket him with safety help, he's going to beat you over the middle. He's just going to run 5-yard routes and just slowly beat you over the middle. And if you leave him one-on-one in man coverage, he's going to beat you that way too, because he's Keenan Allen and he's really good and he has no competition right now. So his receptions, I assume, is going to be as high as 7.5. Maybe we're lucky if we get 6.5. I'll definitely be looking to play that pretty much as soon as possible. And hey, we're talking about it just a minute ago. How about Russell Wilson rushing yards? I mean, the guy, it was the last 2 games of last year where suddenly he looked a little bit closer to himself, especially with the rushing. And then this year it's shown again, the burst is pretty good. It's not like we're seeing consistent designed runs like the Lamar Jacksons of the world. That's out the window, but he's not being priced like the Lamar Jackson. So we're in the 45, 50s. We're talking about low 20s rush yards for a guy like Russell Wilson. And hey, I talked about their defense. The Texans defense is pretty solid, but that's an exploitable unit. And if we do expect both offenses to look at least somewhat solid in this game, then I think Russell Wilson's going to have to, do a little bit on his own. And guess what? We just saw a design run for a touchdown earlier today where he actually did pull off that awesome reverse. So it shows beyond the scrambles, they've got some stuff in their bag as well. And as we get closer and closer to playoff time, that's when you start seeing the cool creative plays. We just saw with that Chargers 3rd down, Keenan Allen throwing it mid-play. It's the best time of year to be a sports fan, prop better, all that stuff. So definitely like that spot right there. We'll talk about one more prop right here. Pretty easy. TJ Watt to record a sack against the Arizona Cardinals. We just saw how that defensive line impacted Kyler Murray today. And look what TJ Watt just did. 5 tackle, 2 sack, 2 more tackles for loss. Just classic TJ Watt madness game. And that's what I want again right here. We know Kyler. I like playing sacks against rushing quarterbacks because they can walk into them, right? A designed run for -2 yards is going to be ruled a sack 99% of the time because they don't give you credit for a designed run unless you get positive yardage, right? Which is something I've exploited multiple times, betting carries, props, and stuff like that. It also benefits you on the other side. If Kyler Murray gets the snap, doesn't see anyone, decides to tuck, to me, you clearly see the run play. He goes down 1 yard before the line of scrimmage. Suddenly, TJ Watt is credited with a free sack that he didn't even really deserve. And hey, he's TJ Watt, so he's going to put himself in 40 positions to get sacks in this game. So that one shouldn't be too hard to convince you of. TJ Watt's been an absolute beast this year. And hey, I've been killing it on the defensive side of the ball, so figured I'd share one over there as well.
Dude, you've been killing it on all sides of the ball all season long. This is what you do. So please, everybody, bookmark what Stu just said and go bet on those things for the upcoming week. And TJ Watt is unbelievable, man. I mean, it's kind of a golden era of defensive ends at the moment with how well Max Crosby has looked. You got Bosa. I mean, there's just so many dudes. Micah down in Dallas. It's just stacked, an absolutely stacked position. I mean, I'm leaving out 7 guys.
Yeah.
It's really, truly crazy.
I was going to say, it just makes the Deron Bland conversation so tough, right? When everyone in the world is saying he should be the defensive player of the year. It's I understand what you're saying. But I mean, if we're doing an NFL draft of defensive players, you're seeing Myles Garrett, you're seeing TJ Watt. Like you said, you're seeing 6, 7, maybe 8 edge defenders all go off before Deron Blandon heads up, he's not the first corner off the board. He's probably not one of the first 5 corners off the board. So like, I see the argument. What he's doing is so insane that I can't really argue with you. But like you said, there's like 8 stellar defensive linemen right now that all are deserving of the award as well. So it's a real tough market to bet. I'm luckily I don't have anything in that one right now because
it kind of reminds me of the AL MVP conversation when it was Miggy and Trout, right? So Miggy hits for the Triple Crown, but we all know Trout was the best player. But Miguel Cabrera got it because he hit for the Triple Crown, and that was super impressive, and it's easy to digest that. So I feel like that's what's going to happen here because what he has done is unprecedented and crazy. But if anyone is actually watching the games, you know that a guy like TJ Watt probably should be the defensive player of the year again. We have our man Gerardo Arroyo, great name, saying Mono went nuts today. So congrats to you. What was the slate looking like? How'd the card look today?
It's been insane. It's been insane. I mean, we went something like 10 and 5 on the total, but since Thanksgiving, it's 26 and 10 now on 3 plays. And then also the cherry on top, we had Derrick Henry 2 touchdowns at 800. We had Kyron Williams 2 touchdowns at 600, and then we had them parlayed together at 6,200.
Wow.
Of the year. So yeah, we had a good day today. It feels good.
That's crazy. And then we also have Freakier Bowl 7 saying Eagles are home dogs next week. Wow. Last I looked, they were the favorites. So unless that has changed, and I am going to actually look that up as we are on the air because I believe that that is something that is worth checking on while we are still talking, because if that is the case, that is definitely a story here. So let's see where our friends at DraftKings have this Eagles line at the moment. Yes, it has moved. The Eagles are 1.5 point dogs. So I hope you guys got on the Niners when we told you to get on the Niners. That's crazy. In the time that we started this show 32 minutes ago, the line has already shifted. So Eagles, home dogs. I mean, that thing's going to just move all week, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, no offense, I know I got a lot of Eagles fans. They didn't deserve to be favorites in this game, not because they're not the better team. I don't want that smoke. Just all the circumstances of the rest disadvantage and all that. Like, I think this is where the line should be. I'm not sure if it ever gets back to plus money for the Eagles side, obviously, but I don't know. It's gonna be trending, or sorry, plus money for the Niners side. I don't know where it's going to stabilize at, but I don't think we ever get that line we talked about 30 minutes ago, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's very, very interesting to see how quickly these markets can move and how quickly the money can just shift. And here we are. We started talking about the Niners as a dog, and now they are a favorite for week 13. This is why this type of show is so crucial, and you need to tune in as soon as we start, because then you could have jumped on that. But alas, here we are. That is going to do it for week 13 of the opening line report. And we're going to keep doing this throughout the rest of the season. And what you guys need to do is download the OddsTrader app, iPhone, Android. It's in the App Store. It's in the Google Play Store. oddstrader.com for those that like the desktop, laptop, iPad situation, although you can get these apps on the iPad as well. Go do it. It is the best in class sports betting AI that you can use. You take what we say, you take what the AI says, you take what you know about football, and then you have all the information you need to make your responsible bet. And look, this is how we try and make money throughout the football season, right? We take all of the smart components that we have, we put them in a little pot, we stir it up, and then we go and try and do our best each Sunday here. So before we go, I have the TB12 hat on. I'm doing this because I just want Patriots fans to remember how great it used to be and how great it can be again. We just need to tank. We just need to lose. What Ryland did for us at the end of the game in the Meadowlands today was a gift. Thank you, Chad Ryland. We did not deserve to win that game. It was one of the ugliest football games I have watched as a Patriots fan. This is the first time since whatever year that a team has only allowed 10 points in consecutive weeks and lost both of those games. That is how bad this Patriots team is.
Ugh.
Let's have a quarterback that can get a cool logo brand again, okay? Let's focus on that. Let's go get Drake May. Let's go get Caleb Williams. Let's be in the top 2 and get one of those guys. It's much cooler when you have a team that has a brand for a quarterback that people want to go buy his gear. That when he's that good, right? Mac Jones is not that guy. Bailey Zappi is not that guy. I love Bailey, but he's not that guy. Let's lose football games. Justin Herbert, go do your thing this upcoming week at Gillette. Please. Please. In fact, I'm going to throw this out there. A hypothetical trade I was thinking of before this broadcast started. Who says no? I think the Chargers would say no, but hear me out. So let's say the Patriots end with one of the top 2 picks in the draft. You trade that pick, 1 or 2, plus Bill Belichick to the Chargers for Justin Herbert and Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I think.
Who says no?
I think you need to start looking in basketball. There are positive trade assets and negative trade assets where you have to attach additional draft picks to those people so that anyone can take them. I think you're viewing Bill Belichick in the positive category when he should probably be in the negative category right now.
You know what though? I am okay. Let's give multiple picks then. So attach the number 1 pick / number 2 pick for this upcoming draft and our future one to that deal. So then the Chargers get flashy coach signing with Bill Belichick, because we all know Brandon Staley is not good. And then they also get the number 1 or number 2 pick. Hopefully it's the number 1 pick, and then they get Caleb Williams, and they get the buzz of keeping the LA guy in LA. So you get the buzzy Caleb Williams, you get Belichick. Now the Chargers matter in LA. Pats get a proven quarterback who, I mean, look, Herbert is good. Like, I'm sorry, he is. He just is on a horrible team. He's on a horribly put together coaching staff. It's not good. Give us Herbert. Let's give Kellen Moore the reins. You see the creativity tonight, right? And then let's just build from there. I'd much rather take the proven guy than Caleb Williams or Drake May, honestly. I know that this is not a realistic trade to happen, but look, when the draft happens, we all know that like half of these quarterbacks end up sucking no matter how high you take them. There's a great chance that both Drake May and Caleb Williams could suck. So let's let the Chargers take that risk. I'll take Herbert. I'll take Kellen Moore. Let's let the OC that is, clearly vibing with Herbert in a way do his thing up here in New England. You take our Belichick problem. Go ahead and try things out with the young quarterback. I'm just throwing it out there. I just want it in the universe.
Yeah, I want you to be happy, so I won't say anything. I mean, maybe just start setting your sights a little bit lower. That's all I'm going to say in the nicest way possible. Like, you're shooting for the stars. Maybe shoot for Justin Fields. He was the first-round pick once.
Okay.
Right? That's like not a crazy outcome right there, but also
I just don't want to trade the number 1 or 2 pick for Justin Fields.
No, you won't have to do that. Don't worry. You definitely won't have to do that. That's out right there. But God. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Maserati Marv. Nice 6th overall pick right there.
I mean, I would love that. I think he's going to be great. Yeah, it's just weird to root for your team to lose. I know you've probably done it in the past. I'm just not used to it. I don't know how to, like, I'm watching the game getting mad today, but then I'm like, okay, wait a second. This is good. This is good. So this is why I'm like going on this little tangent here, because I need to like say it out loud so I start believing it. The Patriots need to lose football games for the future of Patriot Nation to be fun and for those games to matter again. So that's what it is. Enjoy Bill Belichick next season in Washington. Stu?
I really don't want that either. I really don't. I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but I know they're. I mean, I hate to say it because I don't want to be part of this whole hating on Belichick weird, media thing that's going to be going on over these next couple months. Frankly, I just don't want Belichick the GM. That is what I'm most scared of. Because even your kicker that you're thinking earlier, we're drafting kickers in the 4th round, like it's 1967 again. Like someone's got.
They didn't even do that in 1967. That's the thing. No one does that ever. It's unbelievable. Like we're taking 3rd round graded guards at pick 28. We're picking, 4th round kickers. We're picking N'Keal Harry instead of AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and a litany of other guys. It's just hit after hit after hit as GM. And like the Pats had an opportunity to trade up in that quarterback draft where they ended up with Mac Jones, the 5th guy out of a 5 QB draft. Obviously, Zach Wilson, not good either. But, I don't know. I think Justin Fields is salvageable. Like he's got incredible athleticism, right? So I don't know. Let's end this because I don't want to go. I could talk for an hour about this. That's going to do it for the opening line report. I will see you here next Sunday, Stu. We'll also be rejoined by our guy, Albert, Analytics Capper, and we will give you your first look at Week 14. So stay tuned for that. But look, San Francisco, Philly, man, that's going to be a fun one for Week 13. Hopefully that line moves all around all week and we have fun with it. Talk to you guys next week.